Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this evening, Guido Sarducci. Alongside me today, Giggles Bam Bam over here, Alex. How you doing, my brother?
Listen, is this a throwback?
That's right.
I mean,
we're going way back.
Listen, you need to do some serious manscaping and cut off some of those things you got coming out of your chest.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me set that up for you.
You don't like my shirt? Is that the problem?
The shirt is fine. I think you should have two shirts.
I had a t-shirt, but it was, we've been here watching the game, right? I had another t-shirt on, but I don't know what happened to that t-shirt. It's a normal fucking t-shirt, but it felt like a goddamn hug. I was starting to get claustrophobic. It was just too tight, so I changed into this one. This one's a little bit looser.
So maybe you grew a little bit while you were watching the game.
I got swole during the game. That's probably what it was.
You look like you're ready to break dance. I gotta say.
All right, this is gonna be distracting for the ladies out there, so I'm gonna zip it up a little bit because I can see all that chest hair.
Seriously, they're gonna be looking at me the whole time.
Yeah, that's about the only way you get chicks to look at you. So, folks, welcome to episode 57 of the Positive Sports Podcast. Like I said earlier, I will be your host this evening. My name's Ed Montana. You already know who this guy is. If you guys want to reach out to the show, you can do so via email at positivesports10@gmail.com. Positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, you can do so at eMontana21. And if you want to get a hold of this guy, can they get a hold of you?
You know what? Just email the show.
Yeah.
Email the show, like, comment, and subscribe, and get a hold of me after this episode. While you're listening to this right now, just comment some right now. Stop. Pause it. Comment.
Welcome back.
And we'll reply back.
Eventually.
No, we will.
You can catch us on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube.
Yeah. Or you
can YouTube, you're going to be subject to the chest hair I was showing earlier, but, that's the price you pay.
Yeah, you don't want to pay that price.
Shut up, bro. We want people to watch our podcast. They got to pay the price.
We need to blur your chest out.
Hey, look, this podcast is free. So what you pay instead of cash is you pay to see that hair coming out of my shirt, reaching up to my face, trying to grab it.
I don't even want to know if we charge. Let's get into it, man.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should be like, if y'all want to keep this free,
no.
Either you contribute cash or wah.
Hey, since we're on that subject, before we get into the games, Joe Theismann had probably the tweet of the day today.
Oh my
it was
God.
probably the greatest thread. I'm sure someone else has done it before, but go look at Joe Theismann's Twitter.
Oh,
I think he stirred the pot a little bit with his Fletcher Cox tweet.
He had another one that was pretty bad during the first
Really?
game. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something obvious.
Well, he needs someone to handle his
he needs to
Twitter
stop
handle.
working his Twitter account.
So let's get into it, man. They say this is like the best weekend of sports.
Of sports or just
Of sports,
football?
yeah. Is it football?
I don't know.
I don't think it's sports.
I don't think it's sports. This isn't the best weekend in sports.
Okay, well let's say
It's a really good weekend of football.
Yes. The results to me haven't really been that.
The games in and of themselves have not been all that good.
I think it's been a letdown weekend.
Again, the best game was the last game.
Yeah, much like last week.
Yeah, same as last week. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Let's start at the top, though. We start yesterday afternoon with Indianapolis traveling to Kansas City. I love it when I see snow on the ground at a football game. To me, it makes me happy.
It's like what football should be, right?
Right. Like, it's just freezing cold and stuff. Speaking of which, Joe Theismann, did you watch the Indianapolis-Kansas City game?
No, it was a blowout.
Before the game, I had it on. Before the game, they're talking to Chris Sims on NBC, and they're asking him about the footballs. He's like, you just gotta be careful with your grip. if you grip it too tight, something might squirt out.
Oh. And this was Chris Sims?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's word for word what he said. Almost as bad as Joe Theismann's tweets. But anyway.
I wonder if he was referencing Tom Brady.
Well, Tom Brady wasn't playing, but maybe. So, the Colts finally had their streak snapped. And, look.
This was a beatdown.
We were all high and mighty on the Colts. They had played really well. But the fact of the matter is there were some holes defensively. And this was a different type of offense that they were facing. The Chiefs can just move the ball, probably against anyone. I would have loved to have seen them play the Bears this year. But they're doing something special. Now, I am not going to be that nut hugger that says Patrick Mahomes is the best thing since sliced bread because he threw one no-look pass or two no-look passes.
And a sidearm.
I'm not going to do that. And a left-handed one. I mean, before the game, all they could do was talk about how he's just amazing and he throws the ball. Look.
He is pretty amazing.
He is playing pretty good football, but I'm not convinced that he doesn't get rung up next week by the Patriots. I'm not saying it'll happen, but look, you're not gonna compare the Colts to the Patriots. It's going to be a different type of game.
Right.
They played earlier this year, and we'll talk more about that when we preview it. But Patrick Mahomes is really good. There's no question. He's got a lot of weapons. Tyreek Hill and Kelsey is it Kelsey? Kelsey. Right? He's got weapons. The offensive line does a good job in front of him. They're a good offense. And look, they just ran out in front of the Colts, and the Colts just never really got it going yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's making the Chiefs a little more scary now is they don't miss Kareem Hunt. They got this guy, Damian Williams, who freaking rushed for like 130 yards. And now the Chiefs' defense is playing well as of late. So, Patrick Mahomes may not have to be so amazing. Now he can rely a little bit on the defense. But, I mean, what Patrick Mahomes has done so far this season is MVP worthy. So, yes, he's been amazing. And he's shown that he can hang with the Patriots. He already proved that.
Yeah, no,
he
played a decent game against them.
And if you look at the past times, okay, the last two Super Bowl runs of the Giants, those 2 seasons, they had to play the Patriots, and, they hung in there with them, and then when they met, obviously it was a different story. The Giants won, right? I feel like this is kind of the same. It's like they went toe-to-toe, blow for blow in the regular season, and now, we may
barely
lost, right, by I think 3 points. So I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring game like that. It'll probably be just as tight. But, Patrick Mahomes, man, throwing with the left hand, throwing sidearm, throwing upside down on a handstand. But, I mean, he's doing it, though.
And I agree with you. I just feel
And he's not turning the ball over much, which is huge for a young quarterback.
That is huge. But I feel like some of this stuff is going to catch up to him. And will it catch up to him this season? Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like at some point it will catch up to him because there's a reason guys don't throw look-away passes, and there's a reason guys don't throw left-handed and stuff like that.
Well, he's not doing it because he wants to. He's doing it because of
the situation pops up, and he needs to. But the fact of the matter is the prudent thing to do is to take the sack or whatever, right? Or throw the ball into the third row. And, he's getting away with it, and that's great. He's playing fantastic. I don't mean to make it sound like I want to take anything away from him. He was very good yesterday. I just feel like it's going to be different when you get into a team that is playing their 8th straight AFC Championship game. How crazy is that?
This is my homes. It should be your homes. This is our homes.
How crazy is that? The Patriots' 8th AFC Championship game in a row.
It's not really that impressive when you think about it.
No one else has done it.
It's still not impressive.
No one else has done it.
It's not impressive.
Why not?
Because we expect this from the Patriots. You did not expect this? Everyone expected this. It's the Patriots. It's Belichick, Brady, playoffs. You're going to run. This is what they do.
Regardless, it is very impressive to play 8 straight AFC championships.
Whatever.
Look,
Whatever.
For a guy who roots for a team that didn't even sniff the playoffs this year,
it doesn't matter.
I'm
not impressed because we all expect them to do this in the playoffs. Yes,
that's a terrible argument.
You did not expect them to win today?
I expected them to win.
Okay, there you go then.
Today.
Did you expect them to win last week? They didn't play that. The week before? Did you expect them to win the AFC East this year for the past 200 years?
But it doesn't make it any less impressive because I expected it.
It is less impressive. It would be impressive if they freaking lost. How about that? That's impressive. That would be impressive to me.
That would not be impressive.
I would be impressed.
That would be surprising.
I would be jumping for joy. And
that would be surprising.
Should everyone else.
Not impressive. Anyway, so the Chiefs move on. They get to host the AFC Championship game next week against those Patriots, and we'll get to that game in a minute. Going to the Saturday night game, the Cowboys had the tall order of going to LA to play the Rams. And while the result doesn't surprise me, the method in which it happened really kind of surprised me. The Rams basically ran over the Cowboys. And they ran over them using a two-headed monster as opposed to one. Gurley was dinged up, and we thought he might not be that effective, which made a lot of people think that LA was ripe for an upset. But he was fine apparently, and so was C.J. Anderson. Wow, what a game by that guy! He was much more the bowling ball, just running through people. And that Cowboys defense that had taken them so far in the last few weeks of the season and in the playoffs had no answer.
Yeah, I thought the Cowboys defense was gonna play a little better, but I guess C.J. Anderson and all 240 pounds of him showed up.
I don't remember him being that thick when he was with the Broncos, was it?
Well, think about it. He got cut 3 times this year. So he had plenty of time to sit on the couch, watch some games, order some Domino's or whatever kind of pizza he likes.
So there you go, boys and girls. If you want to be an effective running back in the NFL, just eat some Cheetos and you'll be okay.
But yeah, no, and I think all that, points, the way that they won yesterday points towards how McVay coaches that team, and it's kind of like that. It's like ground and pound and just bulldoze your way. If you look at him, if you hear him talk in interviews, he's got such a fast motor, a deep voice, and it feels like it's really contagious. And it's like I'm not surprised that his style of coaching translates like this on the field.
He does an amazing job with that team. On defense, they played well. They basically shut down the Cowboys' running attack, which really kind of is their bread and butter. If they have to be able to run the ball, and, with them jumping out to a quick lead.
Dak had a good game too. I think
had a decent game.
I seen a stat where he's like 20, or the Cowboys are 24-2 when he doesn't turn the ball over. He didn't have a turnover yesterday.
I don't think there were any turnovers in the game.
I don't remember that far back, but
so
I do know the Cowboys.
It was a pretty clean game. It was just dominated by the Rams.
Yeah.
And look, if the Rams have talent all over that field, if they can run the ball like that, where they can grind a team out, it'll be very interesting to see how other teams stack up with them. Because look, we know that they can throw the ball. We know they can move and strike quickly. They show that throughout the season. But now, with the emergence of C.J. Anderson, it looks like they can run the ball and ground you into pieces as well, which is going to be very interesting come next week, and especially if they end up going to the Super Bowl and who they meet out of those 2 AFC teams, because the contrast is stark. If they can grind a team out, it's going to be very interesting compared to other teams that are using the run more as a quick facilitation to their passing game, as opposed to the Rams, who last night used their running game as a boulder to basically tear down the building. Yeah.
Don't forget Jared Goff's key quarterback run.
Yeah. At the end of the game. That guy is huge.
I didn't realize he was that big.
I mean, I knew he was a big guy, but he is huge.
Yeah.
Which, is good.
And so...
Because apparently Andrew Luck shrunk like 6 inches. He got passes batted around yesterday. He had like 3 or 4 passes batted around.
Yeah.
And they looked like they were about to be intercepted most times.
And there was a stat on that game. The Chiefs had like 15 first downs towards the end of the first half, and the Colts had 0. They couldn't move the ball.
No, it was pretty bad at one point.
Yeah.
Well, the games, again, they were all blowouts. I saw a similar stat at one point in the Patriots game where the Chargers had run 20 plays and the Patriots had 21 first downs.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's a problem. That's when you know you're behind.
Yeah.
So the Rams move on. The Cowboys, to me, overachieved for what they are. I don't. I think having Cooper made them a better team.
Now that team was impressive to me because I gave them no chance this year at all.
Yeah, no, they played better, I think, than what they were.
Yeah.
And they've got holes to fill. Certainly on offense, they still have a lot of work to do. They can't live and die by Elliott and Cooper. They need more.
So out of the 2 teams that lost Saturday, who's got the most upside? The Colts or the Cowboys? They're very similar.
Yeah. I'm going to say the Cowboys because I think adding pieces on offense in today's football is easier than adding pieces on defense, which is where I think the Colts are suffering more. But you're right. They were 2 very, very similar teams at this point.
I would say the Colts. I think Cowboys need a coaching change first and foremost is what I think. And the Colts on offense, I think they're looking bright on offense. So
why do they need a coaching change?
Why do you want to keep Garrett?
They went 10-6 and they won a playoff game.
So
it's better than last year.
Hey guys, this is Jason Garrett after a win. Hey guys, this is Jason Garrett after a loss. I mean, the guy he's a puppet. He's a puppet,
right,
man.
But there's my point. Even as a puppet,
yeah,
he's not given a whole lot to work with, and he got a team to 10-6 and a win in the playoffs. Which I know it's not a Super Bowl. I realize that, but I mean, it's not like they're loaded with talent. They're not the Saints. They don't have players everywhere.
Yeah, I guess you're
right.
You
know what I mean? And
keep Jason Garrett. What's his name?
Carrot Head?
Garrett, whatever. What's his name?
Garrett.
Jerry Jones. Keep him.
And
we love him in the NFC East.
And that's the other problem, right?
Yeah, then that is the problem.
Seriously, if you're a Cowboys fan, do you get rid of Jason Garrett and bring in what?
No, yeah.
Right? Because Jerry Jones is going to want to be the boss, and they need an ownership change before they need a coaching change. So, I mean, I get tired of hearing, and the reason I even brought it up, well, the only reason I counted you when you brought it up is I get tired of hearing this, Jason Garrett's a problem. Jason Garrett's not the problem. Jason Garrett is dealing with, he's making do with what he has, which is not much. And look, they were a 500 team. They got him Amari Cooper, and the offense got better. So, How
long has he been there? Like 8 years?
Right, but
he hasn't done shit in 8 years.
The whole time they haven't given him anything.
Well, what do you mean they haven't given him anything?
Hey, look,
he had a Hall of Famer tight end.
The only coach in the NFL that makes chicken soup out of chicken shit is Bill Belichick. Right? Look, everyone else has a fair amount of talent. Now, look, there's very few guys that are making shit happen with nothing, right? Who?
Dude, the Cowboys 2 years ago had or 3 years ago had the best offensive line. Dak Prescott, great rookie year. Ezekiel Elliott, Witten, Dez Bryant. Come on,
and they made the
playoffs. And that's all they did. They couldn't go any further.
But they had no defense at the time.
Oh my God! Now they have no deep. Nah, you. All right, let's move on. Come on, we're not going to win this argument here, so let's go.
I just don't. I mean,
Garrett sucks. Plain and simple. He's not a good coach. He's got a great offense. He's not a good coach. He's calling the plays there.
He doesn't have a great offense.
2 years ago, he had a great offense. He had a great
offensive line.
Oh my God, bro. So Prescott did not do good his rookie year.
Yeah, he did all right.
Ezekiel Elliott did not do good his rookie year. I mean, he had a Hall of Famer, Jason Witten. He had Des Bryant. I mean, that is...
And a terrible defense.
He's calling the plays on offense.
I know, and on offense they were scoring, but their defense sucked.
Okay, if you say so.
Well, didn't they?
Come on, what's the next game? I don't want to argue about this shit no more.
Didn't they have a terrible defense? So the next game, which one was the next game?
It was the Eagles and the Saints. There was no third game.
Oh, that third game was quick.
Hold on.
Huh?
Let me do what the Chargers did. What was that? I stopped watching. Bro.
I can't say I'm surprised, and I'll tell you why. Two things that made me kind of not shocked at that result at all. One, it seems like every time we start talking about some unbelievable team in the AFC, the Patriots are like, what do you mean? Not us?
Mm-hmm.
And they play better, right? Two, it's hard for a team to travel across the country 2 weeks in a row. It's really difficult for those West Coast teams. And to have to play the early game on Sunday, it's tough. And I am kind of making excuses for the Chargers, but I kind of expected it. The Chargers are a good football team, but having to travel across the country twice, and the second time to have to go face the Patriots, it's a different song and dance. And the Patriots came ready to rock and roll, and the Chargers were still on the plane, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was just
definitely on West Coast time.
I mean, it was 21-0 before the game. I blinked and it was 21-0.
At what point did you stop watching this game? I mean, I stopped at halftime.
At halftime, yeah. I watched very little of the second half. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I watched till halftime, and then it was just too hard to watch. I feel bad for Phillip Rivers, and the really sad thing is I think that this kind of performance and this kind of result in his career is the kind of result that is probably going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Because, let's face it, he's been to one AFC championship game. That's it. In an era where, when they talk about his contemporaries, right, they're going to talk about Big Ben, 2 championships. Eli Manning, 2 championships. Tom Brady, forget it. Peyton Manning, forget it. You know what I mean? Drew Brees, forget it. I mean, they're guys that are just going to have these ridiculous numbers and these ridiculous drives through the playoffs, and he's got one appearance in an AFC championship game.
Was that AFC? I don't remember, but was that the AFC championship game where they had the lead on the Patriots? It was like 28-7 or 21-7, like late in the fourth.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Damn.
But so I hate to say that about the guy because he is a very good quarterback, but this type of result is exactly why I think eventually he's not going to get into the Hall of Fame, and it's a shame because he's a good dude. He was barking at the officials with 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah.
Wanting a pass interference, and I'm like, dude, it's over. You need to go ahead and just...
Shit, they were only down 11 at that point. A touchdown, an onside kick, and a field goal.
And it's on again.
It's on.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, I think much of the credit goes to Belichick and how he just has his team always prepared. I mean, you just don't know what they're going to throw at you on offense. And then defensive wise, they made Phillip Rivers throw some pretty bad passes to the ground. I mean, there was a lot of passes that he was bouncing short, throwing them short.
Well, they put a lot of pressure up the middle,
which the Patriots aren't really, this season they don't have edge rushers and
they don't have the best defensive line in the world. Their secondary is good. The linebackers are good, but as far as getting pressure on the quarterback, they have not been great at it. The times we've seen them stumble this year, it's been because they've gotten zero pressure on the quarterback, and they've gotten burned for it. But that wasn't the case today. It'll be real interesting to see what happens next week with the Chiefs, because now they probably can still generate that pressure, but now you've got a more mobile quarterback to deal with, which might be a problem.
Yeah, Belichick will probably find a way to adjust to that too.
It's going to be a good game, I think.
I hope so. 'Cause,
yeah, it's a bummer for the Chargers. The Patriots look great again. And they're, they certainly are walking around with a chip on their shoulder about not being the favorites. So, they are channeling their Philadelphia Eagles-ness, talking about their being underdogs. I've already heard them make comments about next week and how, Tom Brady said, everyone thinks we suck and we can't win. Settle down, buddy.
Yeah, well.
Settle down, Beavis.
I didn't think they were going to win this week, so they proved me wrong.
But we'll see. We'll preview that game in a minute. And then the best game of the day, not the shootout that I was expecting. I expected a shootout again.
Yeah.
And last time when we're talking about the Eagles at New Orleans, the last time they played earlier in the season, New Orleans held up their end of the shootout bargain, right? They scored 40-some-odd points, and the Eagles just kind of stumbled along, didn't score as much. I expected the Eagles to bring it with Nick Foles playing well, and I expected the Saints to do it again, and we didn't get that at all. It looked like we were going to get a bit of a shootout. Early on, Eagles jumped out to a 14-0 lead, but man, if the announcer during the game said at one point, there's still a lot of football to play. The Eagles really can't sit on this 14-point lead. And this was in the first quarter. I mean, no truer words have ever been spoken, but it turned out to be very prophetic because the Saints came back in the second quarter, got their engine going, and before you knew it, they were ahead. And it looked at one point, like the Saints could run away with it, but they just they just couldn't get it in the end zone, or they couldn't get past that 35-yard mark or whatever, and ended up winning only 20-14, but the Saints move on. What was the most impressive thing about the game for you?
Drew Brees throwing an interception so early in the game. I mean, that wasn't the difference, but it allowed the Eagles to kind of get a running head start, and so
it looked like trouble. I mean, he threw an interception, he fumbled the snap, and then he got stripped by the Eagles at one point.
Eagles recovered?
No, the Saints ended up recovering both his snap fumble and the fumble later on. They recovered both of them, but still, potentially 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
Yikes. It was a dicey start for those Saints fans. But the most impressive thing to me was their defense. They pretty much locked the Eagles down. I mean, obviously they had a short field to deal with on the first touchdown. The second touchdown was a decent drive, but after that, man, they were all over the place, and their secondary came to play. Yeah. A lot of those guys looked like they were half a foot shorter than the Eagles receivers, but they put themselves in the right spot and made plays.
Or is that just the inaccuracy of Nick Foles?
He started off very accurate. He got a little bit less accurate as the game went on. I've been given a lot of grief for saying he has accuracy issues. I still think there are times he's missing open receivers and he's not hitting them. Now, the play to end the game, the interception to end the game, not his fault.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
He hit Jeffrey right in the hands, and it just went right through his hands and right into the hands of Lattimore on the Saints. But part of the problem for Foles today, I felt, was not so much accuracy. He showed some accuracy issues, but it was because of the pressure. He had to move around a lot in the pocket today. It wasn't just pressure on the sides, a lot of pressure up the middle that was moving him one way or the other. And he's just not quite the same when he's got to roll that way.
Well, the starting guard, Pro Bowler guard, went out early in the game.
That was a big deal.
That probably helped.
I think that was a very big deal for the Eagles offense, but they just couldn't do it. And the Saints on offense, look, they came out, and even though the score didn't show it, they pretty much shut that game down with that drive to start the third quarter. Well, they didn't start the third quarter. The Eagles went 3 and out, and then they got the ball.
18 plays,
11 minutes and change. I mean, that. From a scoreboard perspective, it didn't put the game away. Right. But at that point, you kind of felt like, well, they've got this because they could just
Well, then you look over on the other side of the defense. That 18 plays. That's
a rough go.
That's 3 drives for some defenses. You know, I mean that's so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was too much for them to handle. Look, I still say hats off to the Eagles because when you stop and think about it, they've been in the playoffs for about 5 weeks now. I mean, it's been win or your season's done for them for a while, since about week 14 or something. And, they've won all those games, and some of them were easy, right? Like the Redskins, but it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of a team, and you're playing against a team who really had 2 bye weeks because they didn't have to win the last week of the season, so they didn't go all that hard. They had the bye week last week. It's a big difference, and it's, so I still take my hat off to the Eagles. I think they had a wonderful season, and really this playoff run, so to speak, is not bad. It's it's certainly not the result from last season. I'm sure there's a lot of Eagles fans that are disappointed, but still not bad.
So out of the and I'm gonna call them the San Diego Chargers because they're still living. The Chargers or the Eagles, who has more upside going forward? Is it Nick Foles gold? Nick Foles gold?
That's a tough one.
Right? Because, Rivers is... I don't know if he's going to retire, but...
Yeah, that's tough because Rivers is not a young man.
No.
But the Eagles have some holes.
And Wentz, you have to question his health at this point, right? If he's going to be healthy going forward. Leg, now back, and...
The one last year was a freak play that happens. What are you going to do? The one this year does kind of concern me because that was just kind of from an accumulation of hits. Kind of makes you wonder if his body is fragile. The one from last year, not so much. So no, if we're talking about just one season, one problem, no, I don't view him as fragile. But the Eagles I think the Eagles have more work to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Assuming Rivers can keep playing at this level for another 2 or 3 seasons, then yeah, I think the Eagles have more work to do.
Yeah, I agree. The Chargers got a decent defense. They still have a elite running back. They got wide receivers. Hunter Henry played today. They thought he wasn't going to play again this season.
Yeah,
wasn't much of a difference, but still,
he
played.
Right. So for next week, when we're looking at the conference championship games to see who goes to the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. In the AFC, you've got the Patriots at Kansas City. On the NFC side, you have the Los Angeles Rams in New Orleans against the Saints. The top 4 teams, the top 2 teams in each conference, made it to the conference championship. And what do you think? What do you think about the NFC? Let's start with
the NFC.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's New Orleans or nothing. At this point, I have to ride with my Super Bowl pick. But don't get me wrong. I think we're gonna see a game come down to the very end, and playing in New Orleans is gonna be a tough task for the Rams. I just think the Saints defense has been flying under the radar all season long. I think they led in turnovers, and they're gonna put some pressure on Goff. I don't know. It's tough to pick, man.
That is a tough one to pick. I think both games are going to be great. I think both games are going to be close. But yeah, I have a hard time with picking against the Saints. Look, I think the Rams are really good, but you're right. The Saints defense doesn't get talked about enough. Remember, these teams played earlier this year, and the Saints won. Mm-hmm. And I think the Saints will pull it out again. It's not going to be easy, but just defensively, I feel like they have more options to deal with what the Rams bring to the table as opposed to the other way around. And look, if you look at all the different sections on the field, right, if you look at Saints, if you look at the running game, the offensive line, the receivers, the quarterback, on defense, if you look at the defensive line, linebacker, secondary, if you look at all those units, I think it's pretty fair to say that the weakest one is that Rams secondary. And one of the better ones is that Saints core of receivers. And that can be a big problem. I just don't see how the Saints, unless the Rams can get just a ton of pressure on Drew Brees, I don't see how they stop the Saints from scoring. I'm not going to say at will, but I don't see how they stop the Saints from scoring 30, 35. Because the Saints have weapons all over the field in terms of receivers. They've got a good running game. And that offensive line, I don't know if you noticed today, no one in Drew Brees' face all game long. Sometimes he had to move a little bit. He had to move forward. He had to move back in the pocket, whatever. But as far as in his face, nothing. Everything was to the sides. That offensive line did a masterful job against a good front seven for the Eagles.
Yeah, and the one time they did have a hand in his face, they didn't call it. Should have been a face mask. But
yeah,
I mean, the Saints better be ready because now the way the Rams ran the ball, kind of opens up the passing game for them. Right. Because now you have a change of pace between Anderson and Gurley, so.
Yeah. We'll see. as much as and it's funny, like as much as you think one way is going to happen, you just don't know until they come out and play. But here I am talking about how great the offensive line was for the Saints and how they kept everyone out of Drew Brees' face. It's a different beast dealing with Donald. I mean, Donald and Sue in the middle are game changers. Yeah. Guys that require 2, if not 3, and sometimes 4 guys to stop them. That's a difficult task for the Saints, but they'll have to come up with something.
What I really like about this matchup is Sean Payton and Sean McVay, because I really think that as much as Sean Payton, McVay has the balls to go for it whenever he's
both of those guys.
Yeah.
Both of those guys are gutsy play callers, and they play the game foot on the gas.
Yeah, I know coaches don't play, but at that point, I feel like it'll become a chess match on what personnel you put out there and what plays you call and this and that. So
should be really interesting. Should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see it personally.
Want to yell out a score? We don't have to yell it out.
I'm gonna go Saints 35-31.
35-31.
I think the Saints get it done.
They had a high scoring game last time they met. I think.
Believe so.
Yeah, it was up there.
Your pick?
I'll say 31-28.
For Saints. You're sticking to the Saints?
31-28 Saints.
That's a good idea.
So who will the Saints play? The Chiefs or the Pats?
Look, I think it's going to be a really good game, but I'm going to put my faith in Bill Belichick to really rattle the cage of basically a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that the Patriots won't come up with something to deal with Patrick Mahomes. And here's the thing. They've seen him once.
Right.
And I feel like as much as the losing team, I think, usually gains an advantage by the second game because now they know what adjustments to make, I feel like having seen him, I feel like the Patriots will make more adjustments to shut him down or to modify his gameplay such that he is not as effective as he has been. I think it's imperative that the Chiefs run the ball. And if they can't do that, I think the Patriots will come up with something for Mahomes and they will maybe not shut down that offense, but they will severely limit it. And I think, look, Brady and Gronk and gang will do what they do. And I'm picking the Patriots to win that game.
It's tough to pick against Brady and Belichick. I just feel that the Chiefs haven't seen the Pats also once before, and that the Chiefs' offense is a little more dynamic than what the Patriots are used to seeing. So, when you have. You have to prepare for 2 quarterbacks now. You have to prepare for a quarterback that can throw, and you have to prepare for a quarterback that can run, and that can throw with his eyes closed and with his left. No, but you have to prepare for those.
So it's like preparing for 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing 6 quarterbacks at once. But no, you have to prepare for this. And I agree with what you say. They need to run. The Chiefs need to run the ball effectively. And if that kid Williams runs any little bit how he did against the Colts,
it could be a rough day.
then that could put the Chiefs over the top in this game. So I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I am. If I'm a Patriots fan, I am a little bit concerned about their secondary having to deal with all those receivers and all those people running around in that secondary. Because
I mean, is there anybody that can hold Tyreek Hill?
They can hold him, but if he gets away, they can't catch him.
Right, they can hold him.
That
would result in a penalty. Can you keep up with him is the question.
No. No, you cannot.
He's pretty fast.
He is ridiculous. That touchdown he scored yesterday in the first quarter, that was video game stuff.
Yeah.
He just ran around, and next thing you know, he was 5 yards clear of everyone. It was like, well, I guess he's going to score here.
Yeah, I think he was being controlled by the joysticks.
Yeah, it's crazy. That is an interesting piece, and that's one of the reasons why I say New England has to control the running game. If they can control the running game, they can get pressure on Mahomes and maybe not let him use all of those weapons that he has in receivers and tight ends.
And the other key advantage for the Chiefs is not having to play on the road. They get to play at home again, and playing at home is nice.
That is nice. Hopefully the weather will not be an issue, but it could be. That's another thing, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
who knows? It's going to be fun. The NFL playoffs are always a blast.
I agree.
It's so much fun, and it gives you a ton to talk about. We'll be talking about it again next week. If you guys want to share your thoughts with us, you can do so. You can email the show at positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you can do so at emontana21. If you want to get a hold of this guy, just go ahead and email the show because the Twitter police is all over his ass. They've got an APB out on him.
I don't know what the hell I did, man. I don't know what I did.
He's pissed in someone's Cheerios.
I guess.
And they don't like him. Go figure. I don't know what you did this time either.
I didn't do nothing.
I don't see all of your tweets.
I really didn't do. I wasn't trolling anybody. I wasn't doing nothing.
Do they ever tell you like that someone? Do they ever tell you that they saw something and they're blocking you, or do they say someone reported you?
No, they just say you violated the Twitter rules, and it'll fall under whatever category, and then you can go in and it's like. For making too many accounts or something, or evading. Evading is one of the words. Like, I'm not running from the damn police.
Evading what?
Yeah, evading account suspension or something like that. I guess creating another. Yeah, which I'm not guilty of. So my first tweet on this other account was to Twitter, and telling them, hey, stop blocking my shit. I'm gonna get away with it. If this one goes longer,
apparently not.
If this one goes, I might have to get a new phone and everything so I can get a new phone number and just start fresh.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Gaucho might be dead. I may have to just come up with a new Twitter handle, right? Because they may be on to me.
Yeah.
We got Brooklyn Gaucho 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're blocking all of them.
I'm gonna trademark Brooklyn Gaucho and nobody can use it.
Good luck with that, bro.
Yeah, I know.
You got anything else?
No, that's it, man.
You got a shout out?
I do have a shout out. I'm trying to look for this person's name and I can't find it.
Okay, well then I'm going to do mine.
Go ahead, do yours.
Because mine's quick. My shout out goes to James Harden. Because holy shit can that guy ball. He has had an incredible run. He's averaging like 40 points a game over the last month. He has been amazing, all without Chris Paul. The Rockets started the season off terribly, and they are right back in the hunt, and it is 90% because of James Harden. He is absolutely a killer on the basketball court. I love watching the Beard play. I'm not saying that because I'm a homer, because I'm actually not a Rockets fan, but it's fun to watch that guy play. He's a human highlight film at this point. He's
having a crazy season.
It's crazy. And if you sit down and watch a game, I mean, he does not miss an open shot. He just does not miss.
He just makes them. He makes a lot of shots, like open or not open.
Guys, there are guys that sometimes sometimes they're too wide open and they'll miss a shot. Nope.
No.
James Harden. It doesn't matter if he's any kind of open. He's making the shot. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I agree.
He's been incredible.
I agree.
So that's my shout out. You?
I found this person's name. Yeah, you'll probably like this one.
Go for it.
I gotta say her name a couple times. My shout out goes to
Please let this be who I think it is.
Pollyanna Viana. I hope I said it right.
Yes, you did.
I gotta read this because she was waiting for an Uber driver somewhere in Brazil, and this jerk was attempted to rob her. Well, little did he know that she was a UFC fighter. Okay, strawweight. But guess what? It didn't matter what class.
Nope.
She told reporters the man was armed, but that she quickly realized he had a fake gun. And just proceeded to beat this guy's ass. You must listen. Pollyanna Viana, okay, UFC strawweight fighter. Go look it up on YouTube, Instagram. You have to see this guy's face.
Oh, she beat the brakes off this guy.
It is messed up.
For all you tough guys out there that think you can beat up everybody, be careful because some chicks really know how to beat up people.
That's right.
And
that guy found out the hard way.
Oh man, I mean his face was a wreck.
Props to her. Shout out to you, Viana.
That's
seriously.
Right. And if I ever need someone to ride the bus with me, can I call you?
Yeah.
Well, episode 57, famous 57s.
The one and only. Johan Santana.
Heinz Ketchup. I could not think of a 57, but I sure could think of some ketchup. I love me some ketchup.
They've been around longer than Johan.
That's true. Alrighty, folks. As always, thank you very much for your time. We love sharing our thoughts with you. We love talking to you guys. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and shoot them our way. Don't forget to catch our show on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, whatever platform you use to listen to podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. And that brings us to the end of another wonderful episode.
The worst part of the show.
Of the Positive Sports Podcast. As always, my folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.